This podcast is the sole property of Proud Sports. Our thoughts and opinions are our own.
Yeah. They say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they all want the name. But they ain't got what's running through these veins. Say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they got want the name. But they ain't got what's running through these veins. Make way for the king.
What's up again? Proud Panthers podcast here for you. I'm Beck at Stephen Beck, TO on X, a part of Teed Off Sports and teedoffsports.com. So we hope you'll check us out over there with other podcasts, blogs, and videos, including the Taco Bout tour that we haven't mentioned here in a while. Been out trying the best tacos around, beef, soft. Those are the really requirements, but I've had a fun time with it, and you should go check out those videos. And if you have recommendations of taco places, I am all ears. Need spots to go and check out for sure. This episode, again, home for everything High Point basketball, allows us to talk NCAA tournament. That is just, man, it's so cool to be there last night for Selection Sunday, to see High Point's name on a bracket again, to have them do live feeds on CBS in and out of the Cobain Center with a crowd that I'm still speechless, both last year and this year, like community members coming out in droves to just watch, where this team is going to go play in the NCAA tournament. So we're going to talk about the matchup that was given to us last night. We also have words from head coach Flynn Clayman about that matchup, and we'll try to break down the game that's coming up this week on Thursday. So everybody get your pencils sharp. We've got brackets to fill out, all that coming up here in just a second.
High Point University, the premier life skills university, is ranked the #1 best-run college in America by the Princeton Review. Employers value HPU's real-world preparation. Students love unprecedented access to global leaders on High Point's inspiring campus. And parents appreciate HPU's God, family, and country values. Choose to be extraordinary at High Point University.
This is the Proud Panthers podcast. I'll go ahead and mention now that we are going to definitely have another one of these coming up on Friday. That'll be after High Point's first matchup of the NCAA tournament. The team was given their destination last night, Selection Sunday party at the Cobain Center, as a 12 seed playing Wisconsin, a 5 seed, and that game will be in Portland on Thursday. Our Eastern time afternoon out in Portland, it'll be their local morning time. So tip-off, I believe, is set for like 1:50 on Thursday Eastern time, and by, we'll say, 4 or 5 o'clock that evening, we'll kind of know what's to come. But either way, Friday, win, lose, draw, we'll have another Proud Panthers podcast, and hope that you'll continue to join us here. Because it probably won't stop there. We've got transfer portal stuff coming after that. Definitely want to debrief as much as we can with the team, no matter when their journey ends for this season. And there's a lot of things that I've already been planning, by the way, for next season already. So lots to come that direction. Before I jump into the game that we were given, I wanted to update everybody on what Flynn Clayman thinks, head coach of the Panthers. We caught up with him yesterday after High Point received their draw for the tournament.
So we have had this similar conversation with Coach Clayman all throughout the regular season after home games, and now we're here on what feels like another night of a home game with the way that this Cobain Center was just packed out for Selection Sunday. Coach, thanks first off for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
What does that mean for you and the team to be able to look around at almost like a 3/4 full lower arena and we're just here all anxiously awaiting what we just found out, you guys being a 12 seed against Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to have this packed out like that. I mean, we've got more fans here at this selection show than people, anyone in our league has for games, So it's just unbelievable the support we have, and I know we're going to have a great fan base too at this game like we had last year against Purdue.
Does it, at least now that you know that you are playing Wisconsin, at least give you a little bit of less anxious feeling, a little bit more rest to say, okay, now we can just get back to the work that we've put in all year?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we were going to play somebody, so we were ready to turn the page tonight. We'll start watching film. We were going to watch on whoever our opponent is, so we'll watch some tonight, and then we'll be ready to roll tomorrow practicing.
What does that trip, since we are going out to Portland, look like for the team? You have a lot of experience out there, even with some family ties out to the West Coast. So for you, I feel like it's actually one of the better places to go. But for all these other guys that may not be there, what does the whole travel experience look like the next few days?
Yeah, the NCAA does all your travel for the tournament, so they'll get us a flight up here, and we're supposed to leave tomorrow, I believe. So I'm going to get with our ops guy after this. We'll play Thursday, but probably leave tomorrow sometime, and then have a little bit of time to get acclimated to the time change, get a couple practices in, enjoy the trip a little bit, enjoy the experience, and get ready for a fun game on Thursday.
I know you do a really good job of looking at numbers, stats, analytics, and we really probably haven't had a chance to look at Wisconsin's a whole lot. But do you have much experience with, just by chance, seeing any of their games this year, or maybe even somebody on their coaching staff that you have experience with in the past?
Yeah, I mean, not in super detail, but I know that they can really shoot the ball. They really share the ball. They're one of the top 3-point shooting and assist teams in the country, and then they're slower. They do slow the game down, and that'll probably be a thing that they were going to try to do against us. So it'll be a good contrast in styles for sure.
Well, we appreciate you, as always, taking the time with us and wishing you best of luck against Wisconsin coming up this week.
Thanks for having me.
So we found out, as I've said, you heard there, 12 seed. And I want to start with that. Actually, let me back up a step. We'll start with how we filled out a Quabain Center again. I mentioned it, but I really am impressed that, I think it's just a great experience that High Point decides to do this watch party. I on Selection Sunday for like the longest time would be in my living room, probably have a bracket in hand, try to pencil in, as they announce the different teams. And that was cool. Don't get me wrong, I would do it again. But this experience, to be able to be in an arena with other High Point fans and to be able to get that instant reaction when the team is announced and they do a live feed of the team with the students packed behind them. And this is now 2 years in a row where really the lower bowl it could probably be filled if people, shifted around and they didn't try to pack certain areas for the TV cameras and the live feeds. Then you're talking about, I'm guessing, somewhere close to 3,000 people for a watch party. And as you heard Coach Clayman mention there, like, dude, this is more than what a lot of Big South teams have for a real game. And this is just us watching a feed from CBS on the big screen. So I think that is the coolest thing. I'll tell you, I talked with somebody last night that was here, and I don't want to give away too many private details here of the conversation, but I'll just say that he made the commentary that this place, and he's talking of High Point University, is unlike any other place around. There's no other schools in the country that are doing these things. And I'll rewind back to Johnson City, where I shared the send-off from the students and the band and other High Point fans from the hotel on Championship Sunday. And I mentioned it then, there is no program in the country that supports their teams like we have at High Point. I'll tell you right now, when they go to Portland, all the way across the country, this school will be airplaning students Last I had heard, and this is unofficial because I'm not in the mix of this, but I had heard that it was 200 students that will get planed from North Carolina across country to Portland, get tickets, get lodging, get per diem again, which means, food money, and they'll be able to go to the NCAA tournament games however long this team is on that West Coast. So if they win, then the second session as well, these students would be there. And I'm telling you, there's nowhere else in the country that is doing that. It's remarkable. I mean, I am envious in ways because I was a student at High Point at one time, and we didn't have that type of support then. But I'm also just appreciative that we have an administration, a school, people that invest in basketball like this, because we really have a chance, if we continue these type of investments, to be a basketball powerhouse program, and it could only continue to build, I hope. So I just thought I had to mention that. But as we got the watch party going, we find out we're a 12 seed, a 12. I mean, that again speaks to the growth of this program, because yes, 30 wins, huge number. 4 losses, very small amount. It's nothing's really guaranteed here. When you and yes, I know we got the Aldo bid from the Big South. If you just kind of quickly compare Miami of Ohio, who won 31 games and was undefeated throughout their regular season, they have to go play in the play-in game. So, when you're talking mid-majors and you're talking about the lack of respect in ways that these programs receive nationwide, I was personally very surprised to see a 12. I had almost in my head locked up that we would probably be a 13 again. But hey, 12 seed, we'll take it. And against a Wisconsin team that, honestly, as you look at things in a lot of respects, for our offensive ways that we play, High Point, Wisconsin, there's a lot of similarities here. Now, there's some things that also are different between the two that we have to mention here that may or may not necessarily benefit us, High Point, but just from an offensive standpoint, there's lots that we do share in common. Now, I haven't watched a ton of Wisconsin basketball, to be fair, this year. I mean, Big Ten basketball is it's elite. It's probably not, though, here, eastern side of the country, a conference that probably locally we spend tons and tons, as a North Carolina born and raised guy, tons of time watching. But I've watched Michigan quite a bit. Trying to think who else from that league. I've seen Purdue a few different times. Wisconsin's not one of the ones that I've watched tons of, but they finished their regular season 23-9, 14-6 in the Big Ten, which is fifth for that league. Most of the time they hovered right around the 20 through 25 spot in the AP 25. And they average about 83 points a game. Usually they allow about 75 points a game. They ended up losing in the Big Ten tournament, I believe, to Purdue, who ended up being the champion. But again, like I said, I wasn't following that tournament as much as I was following some of the others, like the A10, the Big East tournament, SEC tournament, and the ACC tournament. So I did watch portions of Michigan Purdue yesterday before the watch party, but that was most of the extent of it. So all in all, I'll take this matchup. There's a few things that I would say, for myself, I look at it, I'm like, that could be a concern. But when it comes to the tournament draw that High Point received, it could be a lot worse. It really could. First round matchup here against Wisconsin, we're going to focus on that today. If we could advance, then after that, we face the winner of Hawaii and Arkansas, who, again, I feel like that matchup in a round of 32 could also be much worse than those two. I think Arkansas, just kind of go a step ahead for a second, could be very physical. and I know they have some serious talent, but they've also had a rocky up and down season. I feel like the consistency there, it's Jekyll Hyde in a way. So they could have an off night, and you catch them while they're down. For Wisconsin, if we just go back to this matchup, the height is probably my biggest concern. Across the board, we're like 300 something in Ken Palm when it comes to height, and Wisconsin is in the top 100 when it comes to that same ranking. So, we're gonna have to do our best to make Wisconsin a one and done offensive team. As I already said, both offenses are pretty elite. I mean, they're both very efficient offenses. Both teams don't turn the ball over a lot. Both can put up points. High Point does average statistically throughout the season more points per game than Wisconsin does. But we've got to find a way to, if Wisconsin misses a shot, limit their offensive rebounds. We've got to find ways to force turnovers and deflections and do all the things that we've done on an elite level defensively this year. Those defensive metrics that High Point elevated itself to this season would be a clear difference maker for the NCAA tournament. If those same metrics were at play last year when we played Purdue, I feel as if that would have been a win. We were right in the game with far worse defensive statistics last year than what we've shown all season long. And so, again, if we can try to get Wisconsin turning the ball over more than they normally would, if we can hit the defensive glass really hard, there's guys that are going to be integral to that. Owen Aquino, 1. Cam Fletcher, 2. If we get in some type of foul trouble, Yusuf, 3. Terry Anderson, right in there, 4. Everybody from a comprehensive unit, whoever it is, 1 through 5, has to be finding a man, being physical with them, blocking them out, and forcing Wisconsin to one and done their offensive possessions, and we'll have a chance in this game. When it comes to Wisconsin, there's 2 things that I feel like will be a little bit of a tug of war. Probably will determine whether or not we can win versus, unfortunately, our season coming to an end. The first is Wisconsin's three-point shooting. They are a team that relies heavily upon shots beyond the arc. Now, I know in back circles of High Point fans, there's been questions at times throughout this season about our defensive effort at the exterior arc of our defensive zone. I think a lot of that has to do with how aggressive we are on the defensive end, crashing and eliminating driving lanes more so than it really does about not paying attention or having hands up to three-point shooters. I'll be interested to see maybe if we, try to change that defensive system a little bit, but I don't think we should necessarily. I think when teams live and die by the three, this is Steven here, I'm almost willing to gamble and risk a little bit with that. Like I would rather give up a much more difficult shot, even if it's a team's, favored area to score from, than allow them to dink and dunk and just get bunnies all around the basket. I just would rather force Wisconsin to show, almost like shoot us out of a zone. I'm not saying we play 2-3. I think we're a man-to-man team. We stay with that just like we have most of this year. But what I'm trying to say is when a team does go in a 2-3 zone, I love when our team, if we're able, like, to get a Chase out there or Braden out there to shoot them out of a 2-3 zone, because it forces their hand. It's like, okay, you just went to a 2-3. You don't want us, you're not trying to give up anything easy. We're going to make you get out of that. Well, I'm almost willing to play that opposite with a team like Wisconsin and gamble a little bit. Shoot us out of it. We're not going to give you anything easy up. Go ahead and make, see, what do you have today? Are you guys a hot shooting team today, or are you not? So if they, go a little cold, let's say 20 to 30% from the 3-point arc, I feel like that all of a sudden is going to change this game. The other big factor I feel like between these two that might dictate outcomes would be pace of play. Who wins that jockey for how this game is played? Is it a fast-paced, up and down affair, or is it everything in the half court really pragmatically approached offensive possessions? Our team may not measure up when it comes to the height, but usually that factor there can be easily eliminated in a game that's quick, up and down. We got to have those fast break and points off turnovers. If a possession is cut to one shot, one and done from Wisconsin, we've got to be moving in transition fast. We got to be playing quicker than what Wisconsin, I think, really desires to play. If this game gets locked into a half-court battle, I don't think that's going to fare well for us. It needs to be higher scoring. I think if we score 90 points, that would be really good for High Point fans. And it's got to be something where we need to be forcing the Badgers to get one of those warnings of a delay of game, like we have forced, 5, 6, 7 times that I at least can remember this season. And that is because we want to take the ball out of the basket, boom, hit you back up the floor in a split second. We don't want to do this thing where it's like, okay, dribble it up, pound it out until it might be a late game situation. We've got a lead, and now we're just playing chess instead of checkers. So there's elements to this matchup, honestly, that, yes, they could be a concern. If it's a height thing, if Wisconsin is just shooting the lights out from 3, which they could, then, yeah, that's going to make a win a serious challenge. But just for me, I feel as if we push the pace, we're getting deflections, getting turnovers. Somehow we can try to limit their offensive rebounds. That's going to be a big statistic that I would be watching throughout this game. And then Wisconsin goes a little cold from their 3-point shooting. All of a sudden, I think we've got a real chance at an upset here. You know who I'm choosing in my bracket. I'll definitely be taking the 12 seed here to advance and play the winner of Hawaii and Arkansas. Either way, as I said, Friday, Proud Panthers podcast right here for you. We'll be talking about this matchup between Wisconsin and High Point. We'll see where we've got to go next. If we win on Thursday, then definitely we would have a game on Saturday against one of those two that I've already mentioned, and would be an interesting second game there in Portland. In the meantime, like I said, stay with us, teedoffsports.com, where there's other things like this, videos and blogs as well. And we'll catch you on Friday for another Proud Panthers podcast.